So we're heading into some real creepy places right now, and I'll play the Nocturne of Shadows so I can warp to the exact same spot that I was before. Hooray for a redundant intro. You see, what you're supposed to do right here is to light all of the torches using Din's fire. At least I think you're supposed to use Din's fire, but anyway. That's what you're supposed to do, but I accidentally did that off screen. My bad. But, yeah, we're going into some creepy places, which means I need to creep as many people out as possible, and ward off any potential viewers I may have. I mean, maybe I already do that, but regardless, for those of y'all who haven't been warded off, then this is the Mississippi King welcoming y'all back to more Let's Play Ocarina of Time. And in this episode, we're of course going to be tackling the Shadow Temple. And the Shadow Temple actually contains the last remaining Gold Skulltulas. So yeah, I believe we'll actually get the last ones in the next video. So we are pretty close to being done with the Gold Skulltula hunt. We'll also find a few this video as well, so I mean, we are making some pretty good progress with that. We're almost done with it, in fact. But the Shadow Temple is great because it uses so much implication. Like, it doesn't really tell you the story behind the Shadow Temple. It sort of leaves you wondering what happened. And the scenery and the environment itself tells the story more so than the actual text in the game. And it's very interesting because of that. I like the way that it uses subtext to convey what happened. A good subtext is an art, and I think it's an art that this game has mastered. But with regards to subtext, I do think that the other games just aren't as good as it. Like, the thing with this game is that, like, I think the overall narrative is actually quite a bit more tragic than people may think, because it's conveyed through subtext, the tragedy. It's not as immediately obvious as, say, Majora's Mask, or, for that matter, other games in the series like Twilight Princess, even. But it is still there. It deals with, like, how nature and technology are often at odds, and a major part of the quest is, in a sense, restoring natural harmony. But it also deals with, like, of course, Ganondorf's one of his worst acts is robbing Link of his childhood, and that is perhaps the biggest tragedy, or one of the biggest tragedies of the game. This temple's vibe I find to be quite excellent. The music definitely helps that, and also the visual design. It lends itself to a very spooky atmosphere, and the music aids in that atmosphere as well.
Shadow Temple, here is gathered Hyrule's bloody history of greed and hatred.
Because of the spooky atmosphere and just the amount of twisted imagery you find in this place, it just feels so appropriate that this is an adult temple, and more or less one of the last ones you have to face. Well, the last one we're facing right now. And, you know, I could have, like, tackled the Spirit Temple first, and funny story, that was actually what I thought you had to do initially when I first played the game, but yeah, turns out I was wrong, and I am proving myself wrong in this playthrough. And this guy's back from the bottom of the well. That guy is the stuff of nightmares, I say. It's just really freaky. That guy is just so creepy and bizarre. But the temple is very it has a very linear design to it. And some people have complained about that, but thematically I think that's quite appropriate. That the dungeon would be so linear, because, like, at this point in the game, like, you feel more resolved to do what you need to do, so that you now know what you're doing, and you're not as lost as you were before. The creepy imagery, I feel it shows, like, how you really can't go back when you've crossed the threshold into adulthood. And I think that leads to some very interesting thematic elements. But a lot of internet edgelords just sort of like to use linear design as like a pejorative, and that kind of bothers me, because it's not, it's just a tool. Some games will work best with linear design, others with non-linear design. That's just how it works. You know, just because some internet edgelords may think that it's like every game ever has to be non-linear, that doesn't mean that that's actually the case. And I find that this game uses linearity to great effect at points. Also, I feel I forgot to talk about it. We have the hover boots now. And the hover boots allow you to hover across gaps. It's, I believe, necessary to get a few items, but it's not a particularly great item. And that's perfectly acceptable, since this is, like, near the end of the game. And, you know, I tend to think that it's best to put the best items early on in the game, and then just sort of save the worst ones for last. And the thing with the hover boots, by the way, is that, like, they have ice physics. So it's like they reduce your traction, you have no traction, which doesn't really bother me for this, because it's like, I'm used to ice physics. You know, ice physics don't deter me. Actually, that's one thing that often gets me, is like, why do so many people really hate ice physics? I never understood that. It's weird, because it's like, yeah, I get that it may bother some people, but it's like, it's not that hard to get used to. It's actually kind of fun, in fact. I mean, I'm not saying it's great in every game. There are some games in which, like, the ice physics really bother me. And I'm thinking, like, of Mega Man X3, for instance, but in other games, in most games, in fact, I find it to be quite tolerable, including this game. So yeah, I never really understood why people are so adamant about disliking ice physics. It's not that big of a deal, folks. At least I don't think it is. And you wanna know what's related to ice physics? Ice skating. And you know what's often associated with ice skating? romance. So, with that in mind, happy Valentine's Day, folks! I mean, we're here right now in the Shadow Temple, the most romantic place of all, you know, with all of the corpses and skeletons and whatnot. Yeah, that's definitely romantic, and the guillotines, and, well, I mean, there is a carousel right here. A carousel, I mean. So, I mean, maybe this stuff is romantic to, like, a necrophiliac. Because of all of the dead things in here. This episode has suddenly transformed into a retelling of The Corpse Bride. I can't believe it. It's gotten that bizarre. I mean, if I haven't already warded off any and all potential viewers, then, well, I have now. I've definitely warded off viewers from me at this point, but anyway, let's actually progress through the dungeon, and we're making some progress, actually. I don't actually know when this video is going up, though. This video may actually go up on Valentine's Day. I mean, in all likelihood, I'll probably have it done and rendered before Valentine's Day, but I'll, like, schedule it for Valentine's Day, and the coming parts actually make some pretty good use of the hover boots. One of the things that kind of bother me about some Zelda games is that, like, they don't put they'll put some of the best items near the end of the game, and it's like, that's not very interesting design. It's kind of weird because it just makes it feel, you know, just not very rewarding when you get to such places. You know, it's nice to be able to get the good stuff first, because then you're not worried about stuff, like, you're not worried about, like, oh, I gotta get this really good item early on, so you're not concerned with that if you get the best stuff early on. However, if you get them at the end of the game, then the player kind of feels cheated, in a sense. This is a special, like, Twilight Princess is guilty of this in my eyes, because, I mean, with that said, its arsenal of items is really amazing. I'd say even the best since A Link to the Past. At least when it came out. I haven't played Breath of the Wild, of course, as I've said multiple times now. But, yeah, I'm excited to get around to that. But, we're actually going to get even more Gold Skulltulas, and the Gold Skulltula hunt, I'll bet we'll just have 2 left by the end of this video. That's pretty good. We're making some pretty good progress, if I do say so myself. And I know exactly where the other 2 are. Or the remaining ones, that is. Not exactly 2, but you know what I mean. Like, here's one right now. Where is it exactly? It's in that room over there. It's... Well, I'll show y'all where exactly it is. But what's the reward for collecting all 100? The suspense is terrible. I hope it'll last. Yeah, I reference that a lot. I don't know if I've referenced that quote that much in my videos, but in real life I often use that quote quite a bit. If y'all enjoy this video, then then you enjoy it. I mean, the thing is, like, people may, like, try to, like, ask people to subscribe right off the bat of the video and to like, and I feel a little uncomfortable doing that at the start of a video because it's like people will be like, "Who's this asshole?
Oh no!
Why is this nutty asshole
Oh no!
trying to convince me to subscribe and like when I don't even know what he is and what content he makes? This guy's just weird. Why am I supporting this weirdo?" And, well, to that I say, I mean, fair point. That's exactly why I don't want to just, like, say, like, comment, and subscribe. I mean, please comment. I would like it if I received some feedback, but, I mean, I won't necessarily ask people to subscribe or anything like that. That's just ridiculous. You don't even know me if you're new to my channel. If you're a subscriber, then I guess you do watch my content a lot, and maybe. I mean, I hope so. But in any case, I can't just ask, like, random people who are just, like, stumbling across my video to like, comment, and subscribe. Who am I kidding? I've warded off all potential viewers at this point, so I may as well ward off more than all of them, which is an accomplishment. How's that even possible? But remember, kids, guillotines are your friend. This is terrible advice, by the way. No, they're not your friend, kids. Don't just trust what some stranger says. Don't believe him when he says that, like, guillotines are your friend. They are very much not your friend. It's like, don't believe anything you hear on the internet, kids. That's a quote from Sun Tzu. Yes. No, not really. You believed what I said, though. Hence, my point exactly. My goodness, this video is just getting worse and worse as time goes on. I'm digging my own grave. Ah, dang it. I'm making unintentional puns all of the time. But what am I becoming? Chugga Conroy? Seriously, I should stop it with the unintentional puns. First it was prequel memes, now there's shart. This has just gone full insanity. But in any case, in all seriousness, I think the Shadow Temple serves as an excellent contrast to the first 3 dungeons of the game, because while the child portion before you become an adult was in fact very light-hearted and not particularly dangerous, and it was generally a simplistic adventure, but when you become adult Link, then, well, it's noticeably less clear-cut, and thus the dungeons become noticeably less friendly and less clear in their simplicity. The first 3 dungeons, they're very simplistic, but when you get to this, it's like, it's not that straightforward anymore. The bottom of the well I found to be like an excellent contrast with previous experiences, because, like, it tells you that, like, if you want to escape to being like a kid, then, well, like, that doesn't get rid of any of the evils in the world that you see as an adult. The evils still remain, it's just you weren't able to see them before. And, I think that is a very strong message. In the Shadow Temple, its atmosphere, I think, serves as a reminder that, while this stuff exists, but at this point in the game, you know what to do about it. You know that the only way to solve the problem is to move forward, to fight it, and not to run away from it or deny it. So thus, that's why I feel it's very fitting that the Shadow Temple is such a linear dungeon. As adult Link, you become more keenly aware of the evils in the world. And I think that's very effective. It's such a game that I think uses tonal shifts so well. Sometimes tonal shifts are misused, but I think this game, it makes it feel like it actually matters. Like, it isn't just a tonal shift for the sake of it, but it serves as a thematic contrast to what you've experienced up to this point. When I say this dungeon is linear, I mean, like, there are a few divergences, but mostly they're just extra rooms and not, like, alternate paths. In fact, I don't think there are any alternate paths, but there is a shortcut later on. We'll see it in the next video, but it's suffice it to say, it's mostly pretty straightforward, and because this dungeon is so linear, it actually makes it feel pretty short. Like, it just feels like it's not actually that long, and thus it ends up feeling shorter than it actually is. And like, this dungeon actually gives you the item pretty early on. Because it's like, this is the first video, like in the first 10 minutes of this dungeon, we already have the dungeon item, the hover boots. The reason we got it so early is actually for a very thematic reason. Like, at this point in the game, you know what you're doing. You're resolved to solve your problem, and you know the course of action to take, so they just hand you the item early on, you just have to march forward. Because of how linear it is, like, it's what Mark Brown would term a gauntlet dungeon, because of its focus on combat challenges instead of puzzle challenges. You know, I think that's a fair assessment. And also, the next room contains the last Gold Skulltula of the video! That means there are only 2 remaining, meaning we'll be done with the hunt in the next video. Because of the linearity of the dungeon, it's more about feeling resolved to do what you need to do at this point in the game, and indeed, fittingly enough, in this point in my LP lifespan, I know what to do. The question isn't like, where do I go from here? It's, let's just march ahead and do it. Let's actually get this stuff done. Also, if the bats are going to keep attacking me, then I say just murder everything. Just get out of my face, you freaking annoying bats. I'ma kill them. And there's the last Skulltula token of the video. Only 2 remain now. And I'll kill these freaking bats, they're annoying. Destroy them. And right here, we get to, like, blow up the skull by throwing a bomb flower into it. Now watch me butcher this and screw up. Or, you know, that can happen. I just get it first try. Well, guess that's kind of funny. It took me how long in Goron City? Yeah, it's like this part actually makes you use a skill that you learned back in Goron City when you threw the bomb flower into the... what's it called? The urn. Is that an urn? I don't know. In any case, you blow it up to get a small key, which, you know, we kind of need in order to progress. But here are the fans, by the way. you can use the iron boots to actually protect yourself, that way you won't get blown around so much and you can march ahead. But if you're really skilled with the hover boots, then you can get through it as well. But, I mean, we're actually coming up pretty close to the end of the video, I'd say, so, I mean, I guess this will have to be it for this video. This is the Mississippi King signing out, and in the next episode, we'll finish the Gold Skulltula hunt and the Shadow Temple. See y'all then. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy this video.